Are you prepping at all with the thought that Kawhi possibly could come back?
No. So if he does, we'll be completely caught off guard. Damn, I didn't think of that. We're gonna have to go back upstairs. No, we don't. We do not expect him to come back.
Do you know who you'll start at center?
Yeah.
Are you going to not reveal it?
I'll just call Pop and tell him directly, and then you guys can get it from him.
I'm sure he'll tell you.
How was practice today, Coach?
Practice was good.
You guys ramp it up a little bit?
Yeah, we did. Well, we didn't really ramp it up physically, but when the playoffs start, you have a long film session. You have an extensive game plan that you go through. You don't do that in the regular season. You don't have time. So we had a good probably hour meeting to discuss the game plan and strategy, and then a good crisp practice after that.
You learned a lot from going.
We learned a lot, yeah, and I think it's it's every experience that you gain, you can learn from. And this has been such a chaotic month with all the injuries and meaningless games. And, we've been frustrated. We haven't performed very well. The good news is we have performed well for 4 years, and so we know who we are. We know what we're about, and we know this team well, and the Spurs well. So we know what we have to do. And we got to go do it. The last month is meaningless now. Everything starts over.
Steve, you guys have talked about flipping the switch at times this season. Do you feel you've located the switch and are in the process of flipping it, or is it too soon?
It's a lot of switches. What it comes down to is how well you defend. This league is about defense, especially in the playoffs. So our defense has not been good over the last month. I'm very confident it will be much better in this series. If our defense is better, then we'll be better, and the dimmer will start to go up on that switch.
What makes you confident? Is it just the fact that it's the postseason? You think guys' attention level will be?
Yeah. I mean, and we've done it. This is not a brand new team trying to figure it out. We've defended at a high level. It's been a top 5 defensive team in the league for the last maybe 4 or 5 years. So we haven't been the last month, but it's pretty easy for me to tell the real us is the one from the last 4 or 5 years, not the one from the last 4 or 5 weeks. So been a long grind, long year, but here we are. And the start of the playoffs gives us a chance to have renewed energy.
Steve, you and Pop don't love playing each other because neither of you guys likes to see the other one lose. When you found out that the Spurs were going to be your opponent, were there some text messages exchanged last night?
Well, first of all, that's a misnomer. Pop doesn't like to see me lose. I like to see him lose. He's had way too much success already, and I think sometimes Pop needs to be humbled a little bit. So I'm looking to really rub it in and enjoy. If we were able to beat them, they would just bring me great joy to see the English in this face. Hope you heard the sarcasm.
Did you reach out to Nick at all, try to get any inside info?
Nick and I are we are recusing ourselves from any sort of communication and family interaction for the next couple of weeks.
Pop's going to be checking phones, I imagine.
Oh yeah, I think they already confiscated Nick's phone.
Hey, Steve, you often talk about how much you learned from Pop. What did you learn about the playoffs and how different the playoffs are? You went through, obviously, postseasons with him.
Yeah. Well, the first thing I learned from him is that you just keep going. You keep going no matter what. I mean, during my 4 seasons there, we won 2 titles. We lost in the first round. We lost in the conference finals. We had injuries. We had good health. We had everything in between. You just keep going. You take whatever is in front of you and you embrace it. And you let everybody else, media, fans, write about it, talk about it. One of the reasons we're able to live these great lives is what we do is really popular. So we're going to be criticized, we're going to be judged, we're going to be celebrated, and everything in between. And I think that was probably the best lesson I learned from Pop. The only thing that matters just is in our locker room, and these are our circumstances. They are what they are. Let's do our best, and if we lose or whatever, you just go and you have a glass of wine and you move on and you try again the next year.
Your earlier sarcasm aside, is it still awkward facing him? You have obviously many times as a coach.
I mean, remove the sarcasm. I want Pop to win against anybody else. I mean, we're that close. He's my mentor, and he's somebody I feel incredibly strongly about in terms of just who he is and what he did for me in my life, and what he's doing for my son right now. And so I want Pop to win against anybody else.
Why did he make such an impact on you, do you think?
He's just an incredibly sharp, compassionate, fearless human being. It shines through not only in his coaching, but in the way he approaches life. And he made a big impact on me. And it was interesting. I really didn't even play that much for him. You know, I did not have a good run with the Spurs. I had a handful of good games, but it was not really a successful 4 seasons for me. Most of the time I was on the bench, and it didn't really pan out. But it was an amazing experience. And I look back to Chicago and learning from Phil Jackson, playing with those teams, and San Antonio. The influence that Phil and Pop have had on me is just profound, and not only helped establish how I coach, but helped me in terms of how I look at the world and relationships and everything else. I'm incredibly lucky to have had those guys in my life.
Steve, do you still anticipate Kerr will miss the entire first round, or could he return late in the series if you need?
Oh, I doubt it. Like I said, whenever that was, I don't know, 3 weeks ago. I don't expect that. I guess we reevaluate on Saturday.
Can I follow up on that, and just how does it feel for you going into the playoffs without Steph playing with this team, and how is he looking in whatever he's doing in practice?
Well, it's what I just mentioned that I took from my San Antonio days. Stuff happens. We went into 1 year without Tim Duncan. We went into playoffs. Another year we lost our starting two guard, Derek Anderson, like first game of a series. You just don't know what's coming, and so you just prepare and you do your best and you fight and you stay together, and then you just take it. You take the wins, you take the losses, you enjoy the wins, you lament the losses, and life goes on, and you keep going.
Is Steph involved in the game planning, or is he talking during practice?
He's part of the meeting up there, and he's been great. His voice has been good for his teammates. More so sharing things sort of behind the scenes with guys, but his voice is always important for us.
Do you still expect Andre back for game one?
Yeah, I expect Andre to play. Yeah, he took part in practice today.
I saw Patrick was here. Was it nice to have him around the team? And
Good to have Patrick. Don't expect Patrick to play. You guys know that, but it's great to have him here.
With Andre, obviously this is a guy who knows when he needs to turn it on. He's kind of been looking forward to these playoffs for a while. How integral is he to what makes you guys when it comes to playoffs?
He's one of our glue guys, one of the smartest players I've ever been around at both ends of the floor. He ties things together. He closes up some holes. He fills in the blanks, however you want to put it.
Yeah.
He's just a brilliant basketball mind, and he just helps everybody else play better.
Steve, you joked last week about all the coaching staff trying to guess who you were going to play. Did anybody end up guessing it correctly?
Who had the Spurs in the pool?
Yeah, exactly. We didn't have a pool, but we just sat up there last night, and I think as the games unfolded last night, it looked from the beginning like it was going to be Spurs, and then obviously Denver made a hell of a comeback, and so it literally went down into overtime. And but it was nice just to get clarity and start preparations.
what do you think of the schedule? Saturday early game, quick turnaround Monday, then all the trip to San Antonio.
Yeah, or the one bright spot with the San Antonio trip is that it's a day game on game 4, so we can fly back and get home in a decent hour. And one thing I don't love is if you're in the central time zone, you have an 8:30 start or something. Now you got to weigh, do we spend the night or fly back? And there's always kind of that point of, whether it's 2 a.m. or 3 a.m., at some point you just don't want to fly back that night. And there's nothing worse than staying in a city after the series or after a game is over and it's going to shift to another series. You just want to get out of there. So I like the fact that Game 4 is a day game where you can get home.
Do you not like Saturday noon?
It's not ideal, but both teams have to do it. I know we did it against New Orleans a couple of years ago. Did we do it last year too?
2 years ago. It's 2 years ago and 3 years ago.
Yeah, 2 and 3. Yeah, so we're it is what it is. You just play.
Hey, Steve, not even from a production standpoint, just from the leadership and how he approaches relating to guys and doing that thing. How have you seen Kevin handle that? Like when Steph's out, when he isn't, what's similar, different?
And Kevin just has an innate feel for what needs to be done on the floor, and it's one of the things that makes him so unique. Very few superstar players could go to a different team and just not worry about how many times the ball is in his hands or how many shots he gets. But when Steph is healthy, Kevin frequently plays off the ball. He might get 7 or 8 shots in a game. He's perfectly content with that. And then Steph gets hurt, and all of a sudden, he recognizes what we need, and he's shooting 30 times or whatever. So he's a smart player. He just knows what we need.
Steve, how unique do you think is it for a star to tell his guys, even younger players, hey, I make a mistake, like holding me accountable on things?
Well, that's what you hope from the older guys. You want them to be mentors to the younger guys. And one of my favorite dynamics in basketball was when I was in Phoenix. I used to watch Steve Nash. He'd make a perfect pass to a guy. The guy would fumble it out of bounds, and Steve would go, "That's my fault." When you get your older guys just taking criticism, taking blame, trying to pump everybody else up, I think that's great, and that's a strong dynamic for a team. And I see that with KD, Steph. They know how good they are, and so they're willing to sort of take whatever's coming.
Steve, with the injuries and struggling down the stretch, does this postseason feel like a bigger challenge to this team than the previous 3, or are they all huge?
It's just different. It's just different. Last year, everything was so smooth. Once KD came back from the injury late in the season, once we had him back, it just felt like it was perfect. 16-1. Nobody's ever done that before. But every year's different. First 2 years were dramatically different, and so will this year be. So, we are going in to the playoffs with the idea that we're going to accept every challenge, and we're going for it. And our intention is to hang another banner. That's our goal. That's what we think is going to happen. We're confident of that. If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen, but you go for it.
A few months ago, I don't think anyone would have expected that Quinn Cook would have been your presumably starting point guard. What has he done over the last few weeks with the opportunity that he's had that's built up your confidence in him that he can rise to the occasion?
We need a scoring. We, as you know, we have a top-heavy team scoring-wise. So without Steph, we become even more top-heavy with Clay and KD. So Quinn's just been great in terms of providing that extra three-point shooting, not only off the ball but on the ball. And he's, as I've said many times, he's such a pro. He gets it. Guys love him. And I'm thrilled for him that he has seized this opportunity and signed on for next year as well. It's a great story.
It seems as if he's almost playing more of a Curry-esque role in these last few weeks to try and provide some more spacing, a little bit more gravity. No one's Steph, but did you see that ability in him when he wasn't in this role?
Well, that's why he has been in this role over the last few weeks, because it is very similar. He can play on or off the ball, and Steph has been in his ear as well, sharing thoughts with him and strategic ideas, and so it's been a really good dynamic.
Do you have any idea why the Stanley Cup's?
No clue. No clue.
Try to win that too.
David will know.
Yeah.
tour every year during the beginning of the playoffs, so it's going like 5 or 6 different places after a year.
I want to get our names etched onto the Larry O'Brien. There's not that much room on it.
If you win it 4 times in a row, I think that's your right now.
Is that
you
right?
own it. I know.
Is that
Just
right?
kidding.
Thank you.
Thanks, Steve.
Thanks, Steve.